a mess. Hey guys, look at this mess over here as I try to get this camera situated. All right, guys, for the last few years, I've been talking about the Great Purge of comics to get rid of, right? And this room is a mess. I've made a mess. I've been spending a lot of time the last couple of days taking care of some people who've been sick in the house. And the last 2-3 months since I've lived here, I've been able to come in and dabble in this room, get some shelves built, and prepare for a big new comic book room here, do a tour of it. But in the meantime, I think I have around 14,000 comics. Now, in the past, I've had much more than that. I would say in 42 years of reading comics, 41 years of actually buying and collecting my own comics, I have probably had anywhere from 30 to 40,000 comics and done purges before over the years. But it was always amazing because if I got rid of 3,000 books in assorted ways, eBay sales, going to the mall during a books, during a card show or something, I would always end up accumulating more. I've had people actually give me their collections. But so what's different about this one is this is the one where I really went in and I had a bunch of reasons for getting rid of this. Space is the biggest thing. Number two is I would for years and years and years, within those 3 decades, starting around 90 and 91, it really wasn't until the last few years that I actually used my money from my paycheck to get comics. It was usually trade or, like I said, the purging of the comics and stuff that the hobby always paid for itself. And the newest thing for this big purge is the two things I'm looking at is I'm in my late 40s now, coming up. What am I going to, read in a lifetime? And then also the last couple of years of the way of social media has really showed a lot of creators to really just be pure ass, to put it bluntly. And that does affect how I read their work. I tried to fight that. I tried to get away from that, but it does. So that actually made this purge a lot different. Also, over the last couple of years, I've accumulated a lot of trades, more than usual, thanks to Ollie's outlet stores, comic book conventions. I talked to a few dealers over the last 2-3 years, and they're buying up whole collections, and they'll just take the trades and sell the trades for $5, and if it's a hardback, $10. So I started finding some really good deals. Thus, that made it easier. And then, like I said, I just really looked at books. Am I ever going to read them again? Now, how am I going to get rid of these? My big plan is just take them to an auction. Let somebody auction them off. But I've had a couple people get a hold of me online, friends and people who just saw a few pictures I put here and there. They really want to go through them. So, but one of the things that happened is that I had one person ask me to do a video showing what I'm purging, and then I had 2 or 3 other messages come through the next week, and then I think the week after that I had 3 or 4 more saying, hey, do a video showing what you're purging. So some of the books I'm just going to kind of show, and if I find anything to talk about I will. But as you can see, these are, if I can lift one up, these are boxes that I got from work. They hold 20 pounds of copy paper a piece, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and a half, and then I got another box here. So that's potentially 140 pounds of comics. Who knows how much that is? But I think I'm well into the hundreds of getting rid of stuff, right? So hey, let's take a look at what I've done here. Okay, some of the first things I want to get rid of here, and I'm not going to go through all of these, but some will surprise them, is there are actually things I sort of dug to read. Here's from the DC 52. It's the OMAC series, OMActivate. Dan Didio and Keith Giffen got on here. And they did some really cool stuff, but it read like a 70s Bronze Age comic from Marvel Comics. There's no doubt in my eye that Dan Didio was a Marvel fan when he did read comics, and he always wants it to be. He wants to be up there, and to me, he attempted to turn things into Marvel a little bit at OMAC in the old days. It just didn't translate well, and he's definitely trying to always change DC for some reason. But anyway, what's going to be funny is when people buy these from me, they're going to see my name on them because I actually had these on a pull list at a comic book shop when they were coming out. There might be a few little key books and stuff. I have no idea how much this is worth or anything like that, but this was like one of the first miniseries that Marvel did, Contest of Champions. It's definitely of its era. And it's just not going to blow me away. I hate getting rid of that Mike. It looks like a really cool Mike Zeck cover. Yeah, I mean, I could probably talk about some of the stuff. If they started showing international heroes for Marvel, and those did not age well. Yeah, John Jones, my video idea. Yep, John Jones, you were the first one to message me. And then the next week, it's like people followed suit. All right. Another thing I want to get at, because I've actually just had this and I've never gotten around to reading it. Where's that number one? Anyway. But there's another miniseries from Marvel that came out in the early 80s. And it was Kitty Pryde and Wolverine. And I know that there was a lot of things referenced in at least the 80s with Kitty Pryde and Wolverine that came out of their little Japanese journey here, but I never got around to reading it. And if I've had this series for, almost 20 years, I haven't read it, it's just not going to happen. Okay. And this one hurts because I knew about this book. There's a whole story on it. I had somebody send me this, just to be nice. I actually had a number one, but it's The Silent Invasion from Caliber Press, which is a fantastic indie book about 50s paranoia, UFOs, communist invasions, the Cold War, the Red Spies, the film noir, the blonde, in a real independent cartoony style that fits right into the 80s. There's even shades of Sin City before there was a Sin City there, I hate getting rid of this, but I'm not going to read it again. And plus it's not complete. And I haven't ran across the entire series anywhere. Another thing I'm going to get rid of that I'm very excited about. I have all these in hardback. If I switched the camera around, showed my bookshelf, you'll see that I have all these in hardback. And to me, this was a series of six miniseries, 4 issues a piece, I think. And it's going to be a television show on Netflix starting in February. Comic fans out there, good morning. Thanks for joining me. But I have assorted issues of Lock and Key by Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez. And what's really cool about this series is that as the miniseries came out and progressed and everything like that, the stories built on each other, and they just got better and better and better. And then you get more invested in the story and more invested in the new monsters that pop up, if you will, and what's the manipulation that's going on. But the art just got better and better. I may end up keeping this cover, but I pulled 2 or 3 out and kept the covers. But this, whatever this is number 2. I'm going to assume this might be from the second miniseries, but this was the cover that finally grabbed my eye back in the day to make me buy Lock and Key, and I found it on sale. But like I said, I have them in all in hardback, all in trade, and like I said, I might pull this cover here because I'm keeping some books that are covered that I like the covers on, just to kind of put on the wall and get them framed. So that's a good thing for going through these. Like I said, a few assorted key books. I love Kurt Busiek's stuff until I started seeing how he acted on Twitter, which really surprised me. I think Portland, Oregon, or wherever he's from, has rotted his brain a little bit. So I'm able to let go of a few things out of the Kurt Busiek collection there. This is, of course, Hero's Return from the 90s, Iron Man #1 with that fantastic Iron Man armor from back in the day. I absolutely loved. It's still good stuff. One of the things that's going to surprise everybody is I have a first print and a second print of the first issue. And one of my buddies turned this on. I got first and second prints of many of the things. But it's the first, 6 issues of Moon Knight that came out that Warren Ellis set everything up with. The only story that really grabbed me out of these, because I've told my Warren Ellis stories online from the 2000s that were funny, was this issue here. I may end up pulling this issue out and keeping, but was number 4, and it's a fantastic story that I swear felt like it could have been a Vertigo book, where you find out there's a mold that's doing things. Hey, what's up? 2 videos under 24 hours. Hey, man, I got a little bit of time on my side. The Warren Ellis Moon Knight stuff that's, was highly praised, one of the better books that's come out of Marvel. I just sort of thought, except for that one issue here with the mold, they were sort of, So I think it's kind of funny that as I'm pulling these, I'm pulling a book or 2 out and keeping them. Then, like I said, I just went through a sort of stuff that I've had forever. Some Rob Liefeld New Mutants. Basically, I just kind of keep these because I was laughing at his anatomy back in the day. And then there was things I was trying to complete because basically there's like Ladron. I really like Ladron's style, an artist named Ladron. He draws Kirby characters, yet he draws manga anime backgrounds with them, and it's real moody. It's very interesting. His style became more and more his, and a little bit less and less Kirby. But he had a little run here with on cable. I don't know when this was, 2000s, the 90s, whatever. But James Robinson of Starman fame came out and wrote a few issues up to issue 50 or something, and then Joe Casey came on. So there was like some celebrated creators that came on this, and I was following the creators, and just not real. I can't even really recall the story too much. It felt very, very 60s and 70s Captain America with Kirby on him. That was the feel of it. I have no idea if that's what they were going for, while they were pulling from the Claremont Byrne mythos with Hellfire Club and stuff. I mean, there was some stuff going on. I'm sure it was epic. Again, a few key books here. Wade, I can now get rid of Wade stuff after just seeing how he has freaking lost his mind, which really bothers me to say. But my Wade collection is definitely going to go down because I'll read this stuff, and now I can read and reinterpret some of the things he's putting in the books that kind of foreshadowed what's going on with him now. And I'm just like, oh, man. He had a Legion of Superheroes run with Barry Kitson in 2000s, which was revamped, that disappeared and went nowhere, which it should have been. And it's all right there. It's all right there. What we got here, Paulo Costa. Ladron used Kirby as a bridge to incorporate Mobius, but the end result is undeniably his. I agree. Yeah, absolutely. Ladron, I found Ladron during the amalgamation, the amalgam books of Marvel and DC back in the 90s. And just fell in love with his stuff. And like you're saying, I knew about the Mobius thing. I don't know why it just didn't click with me. It's been a while since I read his stuff, but yeah, just watching him just progress and become more and more of an artist. It's amazing. I think the last person that really grabbed me like that to watch the evolution of their art was Travis Charest. Yeah, Spotty Boy Team Up. That was a fun read. That was the one. And I'm hoping to run across. I've still all this stuff is actually just from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10. This is only from 15 boxes of comics, and I've got tons more. So that's why I'm saying this is just the first shot. As I was talking about Kurt Busiek and stuff, I mean, I still love a lot of his stuff. He's a great writer. He really pulls from some stuff, but like I said, I can let stuff go. Here's a little known, unless you were there, comic that came out that was for $1 a month, 99 cents a month, because people were flipping out about the cost of comics in the early 90s. And this is the Untold Tales of Spider-Man. And what he did is he wrote this in a way to where you take the Amazing Spider-Man series, go back to the Silver Age, and you start with number 1, and this would be like 1.5. Number 2, 2.5. And then these stories with Pat Olaf would fit in between the original stories. They were fun reads. You got your Spider-Man back. The 90s is when they really, really messed up Spider-Man. So these were nice little books. Pat Olaf came in and he was able to give it to a nice Silver Age feel, but he's no Steve Ditko. So there was very cool things. If you want to go back to the Silver Age, you could grab these books with a bit of a modern twist. But I can get rid of those now. And then one of the books that I wouldn't say I got laughed at, but I gave it a chance until I finished this storyline. I was like, okay, they're doing something brave. Let's see where they're going with. It's when I was, I've really talked about comics the last 5-6 years, possibly 10 years as being crap. And this is one of the storylines that I was trying to give them a chance. I didn't just look at these books and like, this is crap. I watched a lot of the comics change and saw what direction they're going and saw the storytelling get dumbed down, if you will, right? But I've got some Dark Wolverines and maybe a Punisher or two. I got rid of most of the series, but it was the Frankencastle story where they turned the Punisher more or less into Frankenstein after he got blown to bits and was sewed back up by the Legion of Monsters and stuff. And then they had Dake and Wolverine's son coming up and wearing his old costume and stuff, right? Here's Frankencastle. Now, here's one, like I said, I'm a big Dan Burton fan. Now, whether I get rid of this issue or not, I don't know because it's Dan Burton art and it's a Man-Thing cover. Horrible series when I finally got to finish it. And when I did a review of it, I might still have the video up. I was like defending it. And then they just killed me. I was like, son of a bitch. I was like, that's horrible. Yeah, I remember Untold Tales was a safe space for Spidey fans who were tired of the Clone Saga. Tom Bagley. It's remembered. Yes. Paulo Costa. I remember Untold Tales had a dedicated fan base concentrated in the RACMU Usernet groups. Awesome. Yeah. Like I said, I think the time of that book has come and gone. I have no idea how Untold Tales of Spider-Man would have a resurgence. I don't know. I don't even know if they collected them, but I was a fan. And speaking of Dan Burton art, I've just got stuff here by James H. Hundell and stuff. I've had these, like I said, I've had these forever. I've just never gotten around to reading them. Psycho, Dan Burton. I just love his color palette. I love how he gives it like a pulp feel from the 60s and the greens. And it's just amazing how the man's mind works with his color palette and stuff, right? With him, it's Halloween all year around when you get some of his stuff. But like I said, I haven't got around to reading them. Now, when it comes to Batman, I've done 2 purges of Batman. I've gotten to the point to where I had so much Batman stuff. I had to really sit down and say, what am I going to read again? Because I held on to Batman books since I was a kid. With my stepdad and my uncles and Gene Colan days, Doug Munch, and just anything and everything I got hold of was Batman. I kept it Batman the Outsider. So I really had to do a huge purge that I wouldn't say hurt, but you wouldn't really think I was a Batman fan considering I probably have half a long box of Batman stuff and then all kinds of things on the shelves. It was just really too much and I would never read them again. So we're at the same place, just a few things I would get rid of, some Batman stuff. Now, Batman Beyond was a cartoon series that came out in the late 90s. I've got the complete set. I have all the Bruce Timm, Paul Dini cartoon stuff that was, the WB and Fox and all that stuff, Superman, Justice League, and everything like that. And Batman Beyond was the first time that when you heard it announced, you were like, oh no, the corporations are coming out. They're wanting to make it for kids. And you actually had this moment of like, are we going to get some quality stuff later on? We don't know. And Batman Beyond ended up being something very cool. And the story that got me was from season 3 called The Calling. It was part 2. It was a 2-parter. And it's where you saw the future. I think Batman Beyond, they said, is always going to be set 30 years in the future. No matter what the time is, it's always 30 years in the future. And you got to see the Justice League and Starro. And it really became something very cool. So when they started the Batman Beyond series, Batman Beyond Unlimited, these oversized stories, 3 stories per one anthology series, these were really fun. So I really hate to get rid of these, but again, as it progressed, it seems like the quality went down. And I was really a huge fan of this. The Justice League was so different from it wasn't predictable about where they went with it. It was just fantastic. So it was kind of cool to see these stories expanded. And I got these on the cheap. I didn't pay full price for any of these. Um, I love the callback of the black Superman suit with the Kingdom Come insignia on it. That was really cool to see. I might have actually turned more of a fan of this Batman Beyond Superman than other things. So it was really cool. But I think you're getting the point here. Hey, the Mastodon is here, right? So we come through here and we got like all kinds of stuff I played around with. Jody Winnick's Outsider series. That was sort of cool, but they really crossed it over with like Titans and some Batman stories to push it. And then we get into the stuff that I've carried around forever. Getting rid of some Jim Aparo, Brave and the Bold comics. Like I said, another purge of the Batman stuff that I kept. And now we're getting into the stuff that I've carried around since I was in high school or a kid, getting rid of like Emerald Dawn books. I think Green Lantern Rebirth is really the starting point for Jeff Johns. Just got a hold of Green Lantern, and it's like anything that came before, unless Jeff Johns resurrected it and gave it a new spin, isn't really worth having anymore. They don't really grab me. Some cool stories here, but they go back to the origins of sort of like they were trying to do their year one versions of all the characters there for a while. So yeah, we got like a bunch of Bronze Age Green Lanterns, Green Arrow stuff I'll be getting rid of. There's certain stories. Emerald Dawn #1, that was a big deal for a while. I mean, it wasn't a Dark Knight Returns there, but they knew what was going on. Then I'm getting rid of some old war comics that I'll never read again. The Weird War Tales, that kind of hurts. There's some really good stuff in there. And some beat up old comics like Unknown Soldier and stuff, which Unknown Soldier is so underrated. Now, I can almost guarantee that as soon as I get rid of these and actually sell them, something's going to happen with the Unknown Soldier as a hot commodity. Let's see what else we got here. I've got a bunch of, over the years, I've had people, and I appreciated them and stuff like that. They've sent me some comics and stuff. That's why I feel kind of weird getting rid of some of these, but I've tried to read some of these and they're very hard to read. So I've got assorted actual graphic novels, if you will. And I'm never going to be able to complete this Paul Pope year 100. So I'm just going to get that in trade. What we got here? Is that Unknown Soldier the Jim Owsley? I want to say it is. We've had a meltdown. Hold on. All right. Joe Kubert covers. Bob Haney did these. Yeah, these are all Dick Ayers, Bob Haney. That's some really cool Bronze Age stuff there. Bob Haney, I think he also did the Super Sons at the time. Now, there's series that I sit there and try to complete. I get a complete series of just to be a completist. And Brave and the Bold from the 2000s was one of them. That is, the first 12 issues are by, I think most of them are, almost all of them are by George Perez and Mark Waid. So I can keep some Waid stuff. And then there's this big gap in the middle where they just, people are coming in, playing around, keeping the series going, redoing the, trying to mix it up, make things cool. And then they tried to bring in the milestone characters into that. And then J. Michael Straczynski popped up. So to me, it's like you need the first 12 issues and then you need those last issues that J. Michael Straczynski did. That's my idea of thinking. It's like, what am I actually going to read? What's the good stuff? Things that I kept around that I've just never read because I love these. I love these classic illustrated here and there, but there's a few that I've just never went around to reading, like The Island of Dr. Moreau. I have so much Dr. Moreau stuff that I'm actually surprised I haven't sat down and read the actual book. I don't get it. Then there's things that I held on to because of the artist or because it was very 80s and stuff. It was very cool. Bucky O'Hare by Larry Hama and Mike Golden. I can't say that I'm a huge Mike Golden fan, but I've met him so many times, and the first couple times we've met, it influenced me to keep some of his stuff. Hey, that's the camera. That's not having a camera issue here, guys. And we'll just keep it like that. Feels like a 60s Batman TV show. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, getting rid of all this. Like I said, DC 52, there's certain books I held on to. James Robinson wrote these, but the pacing was so bad with most of the Earth 2 books. Like I said, I sat down and read 18 issues of the DC 52 Green Lantern, and after 18 issues, the book went nowhere. They were still doing what they were doing. So, yeah, there's a big purge of the DC 52 stuff. Yeah, getting rid of more Batman stuff, even though it's an anniversary issue, and they did some stupid stuff, some old Detective Comics. And then there's things where I know I'm getting rid of them, and I know I should hold on to them, and they're going to be big. But, if I get these, I'll get them in trade. I got a few. I think I might have kept one or two of these for the cover, like I said. But this is a huge stack of Why the Last Man, which I think is getting turned into a show. And honestly, it seems like the first issue is the only one worth anything. And then also the worst thing that I ever did. I mean, I'm not going to say that I was like, I love the series like I love my Neil Gaiman Sandman, but this was like a solid read. You knew this was going to have an ending, a beginning, a middle, and an end. And the whole idea of one man being alive in a world of women and the mystery of what caused it. And this was not a predictable story. And of course, it's Vertigo. When Vertigo, you knew when you put your money down, you were going to get a payoff and stuff, right? But one of the worst things I ever did was got on there to check out the artist and put her on Twitter before I realized how big of a dumpster fire Twitter is. But Pia Guerra, the artist on this, I was just not fond of her Twitter activity. We'll just put it to that. And yeah, it tainted it. I'm like, do I really want to give this person my money? You know what I mean? Do I really want to support that book? So I was kind of glad it was over with, right? So yeah, there's a lot of Vertigo stuff that's the one. Those are the ones that's tearing me into up when I'm getting them. But I'm reading them in trade. What we got here? Paulo Costa. I love Mike Golden ever since he did Micronauts. There's some Micronauts in here I'm finally getting rid of. Paulo Costa, I got Bucky O'Hare and the Digest size trade paperback. Cool. Very cool. All right. What do we got in here? Let's get to the point. I don't know if there's any Grendel fans out there, but I have some friends that are into Grendel. And there's a Doc Savage that I got just because of the cover. We'll move on. But Grendel was something that I dabbled in the 90s. Then I got some Kamiko issues in here. But yeah, I'm getting a lot of basically here's a big set of Grendel books. Rose Thorn and whatever else was at the cult. War Child. Some early Kamiko issues. Matt Wagner. But this is just the sort of stuff. But I have some friends that are huge into Grendel, and he just never really grabbed me. It was very cool. I've got two issue miniseries that came out in the 90s of Matt Wagner jumping on there, and it's Batman versus Grendel. Those were very well done, but that was more Matt Wagner. I really enjoy Matt Wagner's stuff. It's sort of like he's in that. I'd kind of put him in a box, I guess, with people like Steve Rude and stuff, people who get this pulp feel in their art. You know what I mean? You kind of get that feeling that some of them may be self-taught and they capture a mood more than they did the anatomy. That's Matt Wagner, not Steve Rude there. What do we got here? Scott Neely. Hey, what's up? Just got home from Florida. Nice. Florida, anyone been in the flea market above Sarasota? He's getting a conversation going. Here we go. Paulo Costa. Hey, yeah, Grendel. I have several trade paperbacks, but I don't have the whole series. I don't even have Devil by the Dead. I see. I first saw Matt Wagner in that Demon miniseries he did in the 80s. I was really young. I didn't even know Edgren was a Kirby character. Nice. Well, the whole thing about it is that I'm totally open to reading some Grendel stories. I get that he's cool. Rose Thorn, the whole idea of it. One of the things I remember reading, and it might be my imagination, but I remember apparently there was a rose. Apparently they were saying that Grendels were born that they would cut a fetus out of a woman and put it into the man to be born of man. And I don't know if I'm imagining this. This is I dabbled in Grendel a little bit in the 90s after he popped up with those two miniseries with Batman. And of course, there's assorted Image books I'm getting rid of. These kind of hurt, but Pit by Del Keown. The little kid Timmy that he runs around with, I think is his name, pretty much looked like me as a kid. So that's kind of what had me coming in there. But with Dale Keown and stuff, it was like Dale Keown would sit down and do a comic, and then when he got bored, he would go do his music. And I think he more or less kind of looked at comics as a way just to kind of support himself while pursuing his music, which is cool. Yeah, little odd things that have popped up in my collection. I think people probably gave me like Trees #1. I never read it. Daymen, which was hot for a while there, then it just sort of disappeared. I remember when that was the thing. And I think you get the point. I'm not going to go through everything there. Put these to the side. All right, and one of the biggest things that I'm seeing right here behind me, I don't know if I'll go through all of these and stuff, right? But the Invisibles. Now I have a huge. I probably have 97 to 98% of all 3, 4, whatever it was, all the runs of the Invisibles by Grant Morrison back in the day. The series that the Matrix ripped off, with Warner Brothers. The series that, if you're a 2000 AD fan, you probably were just flipping out like, oh my God, he's going full scale. The one that Grant Morrison said that he would do drugs and come up with the alien conspiracies and write as he was tripping out and stuff, right? And the Brian Boland covers there for a while. I have all these in trade. Again, I might pull out a few covers, but if it wasn't, I have all of these in trade, and I'm stuck on the 5th trade. I think there's 8 of them. I can't see. I don't have my glasses on. But I'm telling you what, getting through that 5th trade is a chore. And having all of these, I bought all of these from 17 cents to $1. And they're really great. I think there was 3 series and stuff, right? But like I said, I'm on the 5th trade out of 7 or 8 of them. And I can't get through it. It's really hard to get through. It's kind of bogged down right now. Morrison got into his own head a little bit on this. But getting rid of these are kind of hurts. And I actually thought about doing something, but it was something I would never do. I was actually thinking about going through these comics and getting like the covers that I like, especially the Brian Boland covers, and cutting the covers off, stacking them up, and then sending them off to get bound in a book of just great covers. That would be cool, but can you imagine destroying hundreds of books to fill that up? I'm not going to do it. So I have like a huge run of the Invisibles. I mean, this is probably, like I said, 98% of the series. This thing has taken up half a box all on its own. So yeah, we're getting rid of those. And that was something that I really had to reach down and decide. Right here's the thumbnail I should have put up for this video, like the Purge. Okay. And then there was things that I thought were interesting. I got cheap. I figured I'd sit down and read. I never got around to it. Negative Burn, that nobody's heard of, I think. And then I had some comics just accumulated over the years that's been written on, drawn on. I kept around. I like the Lone Ranger when I was a kid. I don't mind my little funny books here and there, some Disney books. And then I have assorted books where I'm like, where did these come from? I don't remember buying these, right? So yeah, there's some Golden Age, Silver Age stuff, some more war comics. I think you kind of get the point. And then I went through my Superman stuff. I think I have 2 long boxes just of Action Comics, Adventure Comics, actual Superman, World's Finest, going back to the 60s, maybe assorted books from the 50s here and there with no cover, all the way through the 80s, the Burn Age. I'm probably getting rid of all the Dan Jurgen stuff. Just it's really accumulated. So I went through and I really just had to sink in with my gut and start getting rid of some Superman stuff. And amazingly enough, I found out that this Bronze Age Superman stuff, if you put it in a lot, you might actually get a nice price for it. I mean, there's assorted Neil Adams covers through there. But yeah, I'm just like, what Superman stories am I really going to read? And like I said, I keep finding these Westerns popping up. And what's bad is Charleston 66 or somebody may have sent these to me, and I kind of apologize if you did. But yeah, there's a... See if I can pick all these up without a mess. Yeah. All kinds of Bronze Age, Silver Age Superman stuff. that I could just take you down. Getting rid of some 100-page giants here. I mean, I always wanted a full set of the 100-page giants, but it's Young Romance and Young Love, which are actually the harder ones to get, but some of these are just chipped and beat up. And then I got things where, like, I hate to get rid of them, but, you know, I'm not really ever going to accumulate enough of them to have a full story. Chuck Dixon, Airboy. And I finally gutted some of my Valiant comics. They did vintage Magnus Robot stuff, and I just don't have room for them. I just don't have room for them, which is bad because this is the good Russ Manning stuff. Russ Manning worked on. Russ Manning, somebody you might want to look up. He's one of those guys that was just cream of the crop back in the day. But basically, he worked on the comic strip of Tarzan, where it's Tarzan and the Apes. And then when he decided to do his own thing, he kind of turned that around. He put it in the future. He took it out of the jungle, put it into a future city, like the Jetsons up in the air. And instead of monkeys and stuff, it was robots. Made him a hunter. You know, and then, like I said, I've got stuff that people sent me, and I appreciate it and stuff. But, you know, some of this stuff. This is the one that my friend Anderson gave me as a joke. He just gave me this as a joke. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I just sort of laughed like, I can't believe you did that. The Mastodon. Got to go, everyone. Have a great Sunday. Thanks, man. Thanks for sticking in there as long as you did. Scott Neely, whoa, 60s and 70s. Yep, I like the old stuff, rare stuff. Lone Ranger. I read Tom Bagley. I read the Invisibles omnibus through my library, and I enjoyed half of it. It definitely gets self-indulgent. Yeah, that's what's making it able to do that. Okay, we're talking about Grendel here. That's cool. Scott Neely's tried to stick in with Grendel. Awesome. Wow, that's awesome. Ron Letch, any issue of Elementals? No, I think I'm actually keeping all my Elementals. They're on the shelf over here. I'm working my way through reading those, and I'm totally saying if Bill Willingham wasn't involved with it, it's not worth reading. It's what I'm starting to find out, which I wasn't surprised. Okay. And like I said, as I talk about this stuff, you're going to probably see the pain on my face, man. But there's things like over the years I've wanted to complete. And it's the John Lansdale and Tim Truman Jonah Hex stuff from the 90s where they inserted horror elements into it. Two Gun Mojo. You know, I was piecing this together. I'm just going to go ahead and get them in trade. I can't wait anymore. You know. And then I've had friends who really, I got a buddy who, this is his favorite series. And it's the Spectre. He's always like, you got to read the Spectre. You got to read the Spectre. He gave me a few issues. I picked up a few issues. The John Ostrander, Tom Mandrake Spectre. It's got some beautiful covers as it went along by Charles Vess and stuff like that. But I've got a big run of this, and it just doesn't really grab me. I actually have Alex Ross covers. I mean, the covers are beautiful. Man, I got 3 of those. Somehow I got 3 of these Alex Ross Spectre books. I don't know what that's about. Huh. But like I said, this is the book that should have been Vertigo, even though it wasn't Vertigo. It's fantastic. I totally get it, but, you know, it's just not something I want to hold on to. This hurts, and I'm going to give a shout out to Charlton66 because he's the only other person I know who's into this series. And I got it just to laugh at it because this reminds me of the Cocaine 70s years, but Star Hunter by Bob Layton, you know, early Bob Layton and stuff. I mean, we got the bright colors in the porn stashes, you know, that were around back then. And Charlton66 is a huge fan of this. He's got commissions and I think original art of the Star Hunters. And, you know, they're one of the few people. I mean, check that out. Come on. Those stashes, man. I mean, I was a kid during the day, and I remember just looking around knowing that people smelled funny and they looked awful. I just knew it. I thought about it over my week break and floor, and I don't want trade paperbacks if they're just reprints of runs unless it's old stuff, older than me. Paulo Costa, I'm very interested in reading Star Hunters, but there's no way DC will do a trade paperback of that. You know, Star Wars that hit, and everybody wanted to do their thing there. What are we at here? 39 minutes. I'll probably finish off this box, and if you guys want me to do another video like this, I might do it later today. I can hear someone trying to get up, and I think they don't want to get in front of the camera. I got a Super Persons trade paperback that collected a bunch of 70s world finest side stories about the sons of Batman and Superman. Yeah, I remember that. Scott Connor, Jedi Mind Trick. Tim, you'll give me all the books. Yes, you will. You know you want to. Scott, we're going to have to get you up here after, as you can see, like these are just movies I've got to get sorted. As soon as we get the house in shape, we're going to invite the fiance's family over. They haven't even been here yet. So we'll get you up here, and you might, if these books are still here, you get a crack at them. Any all-star westerns, possibly in another box, right? So I'm going to finish this box up. I'm going to redo this one as part 1. And if you guys want me to go through the rest of the boxes and segments here of what I'm getting rid of, and I'll do it fairly quickly, like maybe a few live shows here and there. Thumbs it up, share it, let people know it's here, and put it in the comments too. So I know if anybody's interested. I'm not going to waste my time if you guys don't want to see it. We got some Shade the Changing Man. Now, if I'm getting rid of Ditko stuff, you know it's serious. But some early Ditko, 70s, Shade and Stalker. Stalker with Steve Ditko and Wally Wood. Now, if I keep thinking about this, I'm going to I'm going to end up putting it back. But what a lot of people don't know is that this Stalker series, which was fantastic, a man trying to find his soul, this character was actually brought back by David Goyer and James Robinson, and it was one of the first villains in the JSA books that started in 1999. And it carried on the story. The story was actually completed, and people didn't really know. And I'm going to have to hurry. Didn't want to come out here. But yeah, I'm getting rid of some Ditko stuff. Oh. And this might excite some people. I'm going to be getting rid of some Gold Key Star Trek books. I used to have a huge run of these. At this Abbott Costello, I've had since I was 6 or 7 years old, maybe 5. And this one too, this Tom Laundrie of the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not that big of a football fan, believe it or not. And this is by Spire Christian Comics. I kept this just because it was in the house. This was actually one of the first comic books I remember seeing in the house. So yeah, get rid of some of that stuff. Then I got stuff that just went nowhere. Snake Plissken. Did you know there was a Snake Plissken Chronicles by Hurricane Entertainment? Cross-gen, probably from the late 90s. By people I've never heard of. And, I'm a huge fan of the 80 movies and Snake Plissken Escape from New York, And then then these, if I can think of a couple people who might have sent these to me, but I completely forgot I had these. I know I bought the Morlock comic here on my own, but the rest of them, I have no idea where they came from. I'm sure somebody like Comic Hoarder might have sent it to me, Charlton 66, and I appreciate it. But like I said, I'm at a point where I need some room. But the Atlas comics, this Morlock's book changed tone so hard that I just got rid of it. I didn't finish it. And then we have all sorts of things. Morlock 2, that's Morlock Mystery Man. The Scorpion. I completely forgot I had these. The Protector. And there's a whole interesting story behind Target. Wolf the Barbarian, which maybe I won't get rid of that one now that I'm looking at it. I got a couple issues of it. I love those 70s fantasy books like Claw, Iron Jaw, the one that just makes me laugh, and I always wondered if that was a Neil Adams cover. And Tales of Evil, the Man Monster. That could have been a 70s. That looks just like a 70s Cocaine Incredible Hulk cover in my eyes, even with the black border. So Atlas Comics had a little comeback there for a while. It's got a fan following with collectors back in the day. Like I said, I'm getting rid of some of more of these classic illustrated, which I think are fantastic, and more Superman books. Yeah, more Superman books. Like I was saying, I really did the purge on these. Let me see if there's anything interesting here. A lot of this stuff goes back to Funeral for a Friend, Reign of Superman, of course. And then there's the Superman Adventures that, Paul Dini did. I just was keeping because of it, of Paul Dini. And then I have some of the Mark Miller Superman Adventure books before Mark Miller was a name. One of the few early books that, to me, he wasn't attached to. I'm getting rid of a Mr. Miracle here by Mark Evanier. I'm like, give me a break. But, yeah, that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of, I used to always keep all the books of Captain Marvel versus Superman because, in my eyes, DC will never let Captain Marvel openly beat him because he's not a DC creation. But in my eyes, Captain Marvel can take Superman down any day of the week. And I have no problem like having a big discussion about that. What we got here? Good morning, Tim. I saw your previous video and I'm catching this one late. And I just wanted to wish you a happy new year and I hope you continue YouTube in 2020. All the best. So far, so good on that. Happy New Year to you, Gore. I always enjoy seeing you comment and pop up on these things. These are awesome. See, hey, there's a list off the Spire comics. I keep finding issues I've never heard of. I'll love to get them all. Your eyes are messed up. That's hilarious. Yeah. In this household, I don't know what's going on last night, but I didn't fall asleep till 4 in the morning. I have absolutely I laid there. I watched a few things on TV, but yeah, didn't fall asleep till 4 and got up at 9 and figured I want to do this so I can get everything out. So guys, that's 2 boxes out of like about 7. I could go on, but we got a few things to do in the day, and I'm going to work on this comic book room, and I'll probably do another one today if people want to see it. A lot of people popped in here today for this channel and stuff. So as Gore said, early Happy New Year to everyone, and hopefully we'll do this again. So if you guys want me to do it, like the video, sub the channel, do all that stuff. The subs have gone down, and I have it confirmed that it is due to people getting rid of their channels and YouTube removing things from their channels. And of course, a few people just ditched me, which always happens. It's part of doing this. So guys, be excellent to each other, and I'm going to put these books back, and maybe we'll do another one today. Later.